What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, it is the start of the weekend. Well, I guess it is for me at least. It is Saturday, and it is Lions Talk Live, and we're back on the air with live content after a 4-day hiatus while coach and wife were gone on a little bit of a vacation. We're going to get into 5 headlines now. We're also going to get a main topic today, and I'll be interested to see whether you're watching this live or later on in the day or the weekend or something, your thoughts on this. You can let me know either in the Duke Crew comment section or in the post on the show, the comment section when it's not live. But I think going into this upcoming year, there are definitely some players for us to keep eyes on to make big leaps the upcoming year. Not all of them were going to be rookies last year. Some of them will be second or even third-year players. But I think if a few of these guys even make a jump this upcoming season, I've talked a long time about this offseason. My anticipation for 2026 is the Lions are going to have the deepest team any of us have ever seen. With players getting healthy, there's new video, I think it was yesterday, of Aiden Hutchinson out there tearing things up. You can see the fluidity starting to really return, the bend a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. But this might be the most crazy, deep, and dangerous Detroit Lions team we've ever seen since the 1950s. We're going to get into that during the main topic of the day. All right, real quick, before we get into the 5 headlines down the main topic of the day, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 13,500, and we're only 12 subs away. So if we can help on with that, that would be great. Also, if you have a half second of time, it's free of charge. Doesn't cost a dang dime. Reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button. As you know, every time you hit the subscribe, the like, the share, whatever it is, it helps that particular content creator out exponentially. So if you can do your part to help the channel grow, I surely would be thankful. We try to get every video between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, you now see my number on your screen, 269-998-2384. Let's have a quick conversation, see what I can do to save you some time, save you some money, save you some hassles. If you're looking to buy either commercial property, a new house, vacant land, anything in between, fallout shelter, yada, 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 go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text, and I will try to help you on out. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, let's get this show a rocking and a rolling and a going, and let's kick it off with 5 headlines now. So here's the question for you guys. Are you getting excited for the NFL draft? I actually thought about doing a topic about why I think the Lions are going to do this, that, and the other thing today, but then I kind of rechecked the videos from this week. And I was like, kind of did one touching on at least something draft-related a few days ago. So it's like, let's go in a different direction with that today. That being said, 5 headlines coming your way. NFL exec rips Lions. Quote, a lot about Detroit that scares me, but it's not the players. End quote. Timothy Rapp of Bleacher Report with this one. So one of the biggest questions, and you can look at this 20 different ways going into this upcoming season. How will the Lions be without Ben Johnson, without Aaron Glenn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And in this particular report, per Timothy Rapp, at least one NFL exec went on record saying the Lions are probably going to take I won't say a big nosedive, but take a step back without Ben Johnson. We all get that Ben Johnson got a lot of the praise for the Lions turnaround, for being able to do some things in the offense with those players. You know, this kind of came out of nowhere. This, that, and the other thing. A lot of thoughts on it. But while that's also being said, and hey, everybody's free to have their own opinion. If this NFL exec thinks the Lions offense is all of a sudden going to stop performing, that is their right. That is their opinion. But I'm going to point out that a lot of other people who watch this team, who I know there's going to be questions about John Morton. He's only been an OC for one season prior. I think there's going to be some change. There's going to be some differences. But I also trust not only MCDC, but Brad Holmes to put the right person in position. If they felt comfortable signing him to be the OC, that's, to me, speaks volumes about what their kind of expectations for him. Yes, Ben Johnson deserves a lot of credit for some of the good things that happened here in Detroit during his time. But let's not forget his first year when he was more or less the offensive coordinator, he shared that responsibility with Dan Campbell himself. Remember, they replaced Anthony Lynn. The offense wasn't performing well. And then Ben Johnson, along with MCDC, kind of took over, shared those duties during the rest of that first year here. You could see some changes from there. Kind of the offense evolved. Some of that, though, was players now getting time in the system to figure things out. Goff getting comfortable. Amon-Ra St. Brown becoming a more and more dependable receiver. If you guys remember that first year they were here, St. Brown was, towards, I want to say, number 3 or 4 on the depth chart. Some of the other guys on the team ahead of him on the depth chart, I don't even think any of them are playing in the NFL anymore. Lions really needed a lot of infusion of talent on that side of the ball, you could say, as a team overall. And yes, Ben Johnson definitely added his own stamps to it. But with that being said, I will also say I think John Morton is going to probably prove a lot of people that, hey, he is a capable and competent offensive coordinator. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions first players drafted odds. Will they get Hutchinson some help or go cornerback? Question mark. Drew Norton of MLive.com. And to be honest, I've never known Drew Norton, so he must be new to MLive. Whatever it is, I'm going to give you the odds here. And you know what? Let me even see if I can bring it up on the big screen for you guys watching at home. And I'm not going to promise that this is the greatest thing to read, but let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys. All right, let's go through it. I'll take that off screen and make it a little bit more legible for you. Defensive line / edge, 200. Offensive lineman, 220. Wide receiver, 950. I don't think many of us are anticipating Lions going to go with a wide receiver in the first round. Linebacker, 1,600. Same with cornerback. Safety, also 16 plus 1,600. You guys, again, know more about this jazz than I do. Tight end, 2,000. Quarterback, 4,000. Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably about a 0% chance to take a quarterback in the first round. Running back, 7,500. And then kicker, punter, long snapper, plus 25,000. Hey, place that right now in the kicker, punter, long snapper in the first round and see if you can hit there. But I think most of us would agree defensive edge or offensive linemen are by far and away, if I understand these numbers correctly, they are by far and away the anticipated number 1 picks for anybody out there. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I know what I would do. I think we've talked about it. And as we get closer and closer to the draft, I'm sure we'll have some conversations about Brad Holmes and the anticipated selections a little bit more over time. All right, let's get back to the next of the 5 headlines now. 3, I guess I'll even put myself back on the screen here. All right, 3 players the Detroit Lions must avoid in 2025 NFL Draft. Clutch points, a story by Ben Strauss with this one. I don't agree with it, but you know what? Ben Strauss doesn't have to agree with it with me or anything I say. So let's walk through this. First is James Pierce Jr. I know we're going to talk about this guy a ton leading in the draft. I feel like we've already talked about him a ton. James, Pierce Jr. would not be a fit for the Lion according to Strauss. Pierce Jr. played in the Leo position for the Tennessee Titans defense, where he's got a lot of good pass rush from both the 2 and 3-point stance. As a result, he's an ideal fit for a 3-4 defensive scheme. And that's why they list him as not an ideal fit for the Lions. My personal thought, I know we've talked about this a little bit, even with some guests for the delayed videos we did last week. It's my anticipation you're going to see the Lions evolve beyond just a standard one-system defense into a multiple defensive front. It's my thought process. You will see a base 4-3 defense, but at times I think you're going to see it kind of morph into a hybrid 3-4, just because you look at the player personnel out there. You also look at Kelvin Shepard, some of the systems he grew up playing in as well as coaching with. I do think more and more you're going to see multiple linebackers on the field for the Lions to produce more athleticism on the field, also more pass rush. And I think this would be another layer to that. Pierce, I have no doubt, can play defensive end in the NFL, but not the way the Lions would play in prior seasons with Aaron Glenn, not unless it was just like a third and long, second and long type situation. Pierce, I think, has got the right personality traits. I know some will say otherwise. I can only tell you my thoughts. And for those who watched some of those videos this week, I compared him to Roy Kent. If you haven't watched Ted Lasso, that will make no reference for you. But somebody who's, I think, a lion type of personality, somebody who's going to run through a wall for you. It's just does have some personality quirks, and that will rub some people the wrong way. If you're asking him to lead the team on the field and sing Kumbaya or the national anthem, probably not a good idea. But if you're asking him to run through a wall to get to a quarterback and help an old lady up who's fallen down, he's probably going to do that. All right, next on this list for him, Ole Gordon II, running back from Oklahoma State. He does list as the number one person. He would say it's clearly not going to fit for Lions. And it's not because the player isn't good. It's because the Lions already have two dominant running backs, and he just doesn't see a room for the third. Does go to point on that the Lions used a fourth-round pick on Sion Vaki out of USC, by the way, and just thinks there's no room in the depth chart for another strong first-round type running back. So Gordon II, I think we all agree, pretty special player, just not going to land here in Detroit. Last would be Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss. This one is for character issues. We all get it. The Lions are probably going to address defensive line early and often in the draft, whether it's first, second, and third round. We'll have to wait and see. But it does anticipate that if the Lions did spend a first-round pick on the defensive tackle spot, it would not be this particular player. It would probably be Derek Harmon. Also goes on to double down on that by saying if the Lions used a second-round pick on a defensive tackle, he still anticipates it to be Derek Harmon, although I don't think Derek Harmon's going to fall that far in the draft. Been wrong before, though. All right, next to the 5 glorious headlines now. Standout Mac Tite and Christian Carter to participate in Lions Local Pro Day. Story by Ryan Love of Lions Wire. And yes, if you guys haven't watched MAC football, Mid-American Conference football, you probably don't know anything about Carter. If you do, then hey, you're ahead of the curve. But this guy's been offered to come on out over there with an improved unofficial RAS score of 9.6. Carter nets far better RAS comparisons to Kyle Pitts, Darren Walter, Mike Grinsky, and a couple others. You look at his stuff out there. Let's walk through it real quick for those who don't know. 40-yard dash, 4.6. 20-yard split, this is the impressive one to me, 2.61. 10 splits, 1.53. So this guy's got some real good fluidity. He's got some speed. He can get in and out of routes. Again, if you haven't seen him, you probably don't know a ton about him. Hand size, 9.25. That's pretty good. And arm length is very good at 34.63. Let's see if I can give you some other things here on the list here. Bench press, 21 reps. Weight, 241. Vertical, 35. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. I'd like it a little bit closer to 40, but I mean, you're probably splitting hairs to a certain degree there. Either way, he would be a nice person for the Lions if they wanted to in the mid to later rounds potentially go after. If you could see this kid with all of his athleticism and ability to block, although I will say it needs to get better in my opinion, out there with Samael Laporta, that's a pretty nice, I guess you could say, depth at the tight end position. All right. Last 5 headlines now. Lions impressed impressed by Roy Lopez, held his own against Frank Ragnow. Detroit Lions on SI by John Macaron. We all get it. Lions played the Cards in Arizona this past year, and apparently that's where some of the love affair began. You can check out the story for the full detail, but Lopez came in and did some stuff against his now team in that match, and that's where the Lions, along with Brad Holmes, start to take some notes. Good for them for, hey, not just being focused on the moment. It appears a part of the Lions' practices for identifying players they want is when they play against them. They talk to their own players, ask them to perform a little bit of a review of particular players that gain their eyes or attention. And apparently, the Detroit Lions offensive line all put out high praise about Lopez. Talked about them to the scouting staff, the in-league scouting staff for the Detroit Lions, and gave them all A-plus grades. They felt if he wanted to come to Detroit, based on just the information they were got from their own offensive line, he would be a prototypical Detroit Lion. Obviously, we all know he signed a one-year deal, but this could be a strong indication of some of the practices Brad Holmes in the front office are using to help identify. We all get they do a real good job at the draft, but also in-league guys that maybe get overlooked by their current teams. I think this is some real nice level thinking by the Detroit Lions organization. And when you go back and watch the film, I didn't have a chance. I'm going to just trust this report. As most of you guys know, I was on vacation, flew in incredibly early yesterday, and then had to drive and get back here for work and stuff like that. Lopez, though, he did record 1 sack, 3 pass defense, 4 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 3 quarterback hits in limited participations with 16 games for the Cardinals last year. Lions, I don't know if you're going to get him to start or anything like that, but I think they've clearly identified him as a player that fits the type of system and expectations we have here for our players. The fact that the Lions offensive line, Frank Ragnow included, Penei Sewell, all offered grades on this guy and said, hey, you have an opportunity to go sign him, get him, just do that. They did it. I think he could be a real nice fit and a bit of a surprise player for the Detroit Lions the upcoming season. Speaking of surprise players, let's go ahead and get over to the main topic of the day. I want to hear what you guys have to say on any of these guys we debate, let alone any others, but maybe I didn't think about bringing up. So let's dive over it and get into the main topic of the day. Who do you expect to really rise to the occasion in 2026? All right, 2026 is getting closer and closer with every day, and we are now just weeks away from the draft. We all get it. Once the draft's done, you got about 3 weeks until the NFL schedule for next year comes out. There are anticipations. The Lions could have actually the hardest schedule in the league. I feel like we talked about that last year. We'll see if that holds water. Once the schedule is released, you got about, I think it's 9 weeks until training camp. So the season starts getting closer and closer. All right, but we've got a couple of players I want to break on down here. Let's start with, hey, how about Rakestraw? MCDC, while I was away on vacation, did bring up this very topic. He is anticipating Enos Rakestraw is going to make a massive leap or big jump forward, whatever you want to say, next year. Does that mean he's going to be a starter? I don't know. But it does sound like, per MCDC's report, the Detroit Lions really enjoyed watching Rakestraw out in practice, doing things, etc. He just couldn't get that hamstring injury to really recover. If you guys remember, during the NFL draft, the scouting combine, he had an abdominal tear that required some cleaning up surgically. Because of that, some of his scores and his test results during pro day and scouting combine weren't the greatest. But you go back now understanding those injuries and how he wasn't fully healed up, you look at his scores and you wow, what would he have been like if fully healthy? Because his scores, his 40 times, his vertical leap, all of them are pretty dang good. They're just obviously going to be much, much better when he's not dealing with an abdominal injury and a hamstring injury. Hamstring injury just didn't go away throughout most of the season. Eventually, the Lions, had to move on from him, get other guys on the field. But it sounds like he's already putting in work, has been this all offseason to get healthy, improve his techniques. There's a real case to be said, and I know some people are already labeling Rakestraw a bust, but if you believe Dan Campbell, if you're holding him to his word, I do believe Rakestraw is in an ideal situation where maybe he doesn't have to start next year, but can he come over and play the nickel from time to time, or just get on the field and keep chewing his way towards the top? We all get it. After this year, Lions are going to have to make a call on Robertson and maybe a few other guys if they're going to re-sign him. If they don't re-sign him, that probably tells me a season from now that Rakestraw is ready to ascend to the starting spot. If you got 2 starting cornerbacks out of last year's draft, that is not widely considered currently as being a star-powered or very ideal fit for the Lions, but I think a lot of that is because of the current depth on the team. Rakestraw might be number 1 on a lot of people's lists to make the big move forward in 2027. But let's get to our next person here. This one's kind of a no-brainer. Probably not going to spend a lot of time on it, but Christian Mahogany. I think we all saw in the 3 times he really got on the field last year, enough positive stuff. Guy had an elite grade in 2 of those 3 games. 92. Anything, for those who don't know, anything 90 or above, you're elite. And he had a 92 in 2 of the 3 games. The 3rd game was 81 overall. So even if he wasn't elite that game, he played pretty dang well. It is difficult to get into the mid to high 70s, let alone 80s or 90s. Mahogany, I'm guessing everybody's in the Duke crew. Anybody watching this video probably has expectations. He's going to start next year and might just dominate next year. We'll see if he continues that trend from a year ago, his rookie year. But right now, expectations, I think it's fair to say, are pretty high for Mahogany, who will be entering a second year. Speaking of second-year players, next person on the list is, and probably not a surprise here, Giovanni Manu. He had MCDC and other reporters, I should say, and reporters talk about the Lions are considering moving him to guard at times next year. So you add more to his plate. He's more versatile. We get long-term, he's probably going to be a tackle for this team. But could it be that next year he plays guard? There's been a lot of guys who are all-pro, Hall of Fame NFL players at the tackle position that got moved to guard for a while, then moved out to tackle. And too many to even list, but you get a lot of people. Manu, if this went down, I feel like we talked about this a little bit early in the offseason. If this goes down where he plays, I don't know, on the right side, maybe for Glasgow, if they don't feel like Glasgow really is ready to be a starter or can continue being a starter. But if Manu, even as a backup, if he got into some games, played next to Penei Sewell, imagine the size over there. Penei is a big human being. Make no mistakes about it. You could even argue he is, if he's not in the top 10 of the NFL as far as just overall players, he might be number 1 overall. And obviously he's never going to win that because quarterbacks are going to get that spot. But having Giovanni next to Penei on the right side of the ball, look at all the mass, look at all the athleticism, all the strength, the power. And then next to him, you got Frank Ragnow, who's, I think we all agree, one of the best, if not the best centers in the league. Lions offensive line starts looking pretty powerful, young, fluid, and athletic. Whether or not Manu's ready for that, I don't know, but I do think we are going to want to pay attention to see if the Lions incorporate him on the field in other roles. Could he be the blocking tight end? Could he be the fullback? There's a lot of things because of his strength, because of his power, because of his athleticism that, Giovanni opens doorways to. I'm anticipating this year in 2026, you are going to see this kid on the field. It's just to what kind of capacity. I guess we'll wait and see. And then the last I've got on the list, you can probably tell, and he's probably the biggest. He's, some of you guys are going to be old enough to get this reference. The biggest Rob Deere on this team. Rob Deere, for those who don't remember, played for the Detroit Tigers, late 80s, early 90s. And if he hit it, it was out of the park every time. The guy did not get singles. He did not bunt. He didn't get doubles or triples. What did he do? He jacked it out of the field. When he didn't hit it out of the field, he struck out. It was that simple. You never got anything in between with him. It was either a home run or a strikeout. And Broderick Martin, probably at this point, going into the year 3 of the Broderick Martin experiment, we can all probably say he is Rob Deere. He's either going to be something this year for the team or he is going to be a bust. He's going to be out of here. That's my opinion. Doesn't have to be your opinion. But we all get it. You look at the size, you look at the strength, you look at the athleticism, you look at all those things. The kid's got it. What he also has is the right personality traits. We see him putting in the work. You see him in interviews saying all the right things. I have no doubt he wants to be the guy for the Detroit Lions to prove his worth. Why they traded up to get him. Unfortunately, he only played 25 snaps last year. We all get it. He had a bad knee situation, had to get that cleaned up. When he was out there, though, I'm not going to say it was because of the knee. He loses leverage. You could see inconsistency, I think would be the right way to word it. One play is pretty dang good. The next is pretty dang bad. And if they can get him to just be more consistent, I think he will be on the field for the Lions. I don't think he's going to be a starter, not next year, but I could see him being out there maybe 40% of the time, 50% of the time. At which point, I'm guessing most Lions fans would say that's a massive win because right now the expectations for Broderick Martin are about here. I do think that what he is lacking are all teachable repetitions. He's had 2 years of it. The knee's right. You know what? Let me know in the Duke Crew comment section what your guys' thoughts are. There are some other players. We could all talk about Sion Vaki. I'm guessing some people could say Jake Bates could actually be better than last year, and he was pretty good last year. Can he just get more repetitions to be more accurate? Maybe not massage the goalpost so much or something. I don't know, but I think Jake Bates, just through attrition, just getting more and more reps as actually being a kicker, he's going to be better. Vaki, I'm going to hold to what I'm saying. I think probably after this year, Craig Reynolds is gone. He's the number 3 running back. And if he keeps improving, then you know what? Maybe they use him as like an H-back sometimes, or maybe even get some roos at the receiver. I don't believe he's going to play safety in the NFL, but you know what? Been wrong before. All right, if you got other players in the list you want to talk about, throw them on over there. Other than that, let's get over to the Duke Crew comment section. Not going to be here for a full hour today, just since been gone most of the week. Actually, got to get some work stuff done. All right, Jess, welcome back. Coach, exclamation point. How was the trip? It was good. It was real good. Got to see some shows, see a haunted exhibit out there. Just travel around and see different things. It was a good time to get away for a few days, but I'm chomping at the bit to be back here. Big Eddie, gritty salutations, Duke Crew. Missed the live shows while you were away, Coach. It's crazy the things you miss once they are gone. 100%, man. And I'm probably like most of you guys. You just get used or accustomed to being up at a certain time. Having these interactions without it. Day one, not a problem. Have a little bit of break. Hey, this is cool. Having a day off school, whatever. Day 2 or 3, though, you start feeling it and you want to get back at it. At least I did. JDC, morning all, back at you. Trey, what is good today? All question mark. Glad you're back, Coach. Glad you're back there, Trey. I think B. Martin will surprise a lot of fans this year, and then we all hear about how great a pick he was. Yeah, if he comes in, we all get it. He's got size, athleticism. If he comes in, or Makai Wingo comes in, or there are so many young developmental players on this team, but because we have such good talent around them, they don't get to shine. Not like on a lesser team. Your point, though, is well taken. If Martin comes in and makes that jump, he's going to be no different than when everybody was kind of slamming Iffy or slamming Derek Barnes their first 2 years. Hey, they didn't do anything, man. That's a bust, wasted pick, yada, yada. If Martin comes in this year and does it all, man, you'll see the fan base just say that was the greatest move ever. Smart, and national media will jump on board too. All right, Big Eddie, good morning. JDC and Trey, back at you both. Jess, greetings and salutations, Duke Crew. I'm hearing Manu might get slid over to guard, question mark. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, I know we just talked about that. I personally can see it happening, and wouldn't be surprised if it happens. He's, what is he, 6'7", 6'8", and, Lions sometimes have played Skipper in there, and Skipper is even taller than him. So I know some of the thoughts are you want a little bit smaller guards just so it's easier for the quarterback to throw over. I just don't think that's as big a thing in today's NFL as it once was. All right, JDC, morning, Big Eddie. There you go. Jessica, Manu between Frank and Panay would give our line power and athleticism. I hope he's ready to go. Me too. I don't think they're putting him over there unless he is clearly ready to go. Marcus, good morning. Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Welcome back, Dan. And hey, glad to have you back, Marcus. Hopefully you had a good time. France, it's great to have the Duke Crew back, exclamation point. Really missed this every day. Coach, no more vacations, please. I'll try to inform Jen of that and see how that goes for me. Glad to have you back there, friends. All right, Pat, I believe many of us fans don't give rookies the understanding it can take time for them to grow into NFL players. We've done well developing picks. Yeah, we've talked about this offseason alone. You look at, former Lions that ended up being great. Darius Slade comes to mind. His first 2 years probably were about as rough as they could be for a cornerback, a young rookie cornerback in the NFL and the second-year guy. And there's been a gluttony of other people that go into that mix. Most NFL players do take a couple seasons to jump from the college game to the NFL game. It's just nowadays, I think the expectations are as soon as you're drafted, you better be out there and ready to go. Any more? Good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Thank you for that. What a time. Be a Lions fan. Woo! And good to see you as always, my friend. Good morning to you. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Coach, while you were away, I listened to, JPR. I see why I like him. I'm not sure if the Lions would take him. He is, without question, one of your guys. Yeah, I would say so. Every coach has the type of players they prefer or look for. I would say he would definitely fit into my wheelhouse. I can only speak for me, guys. I know some of you don't like him. When I hear him talk, when I watch him play, and I've tried to watch enough to have at least a good baseline on him, at least in my opinion, I like the kid, and I think he would do well here or in the NFL as a whole. Shamir, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Back at you. Good to see you this morning. Hopefully it's a great start to your day. Marcus, facts at Pat Rock. There you go. Susan, good morning, Duke Crew. Exclamation point. How did you do on the trip, Coach? Question mark. Any advice on the markets? Well, the trip went well, although, man, I tell you, when you're away and eating, man, you can sometimes eat a little too much. Some real good food out there. As far as the markets, I'm not a financial advisor, so I got to be clear. I cannot give advice. The only thing I can say is, I'm old enough now where I've seen enough in the markets where, hey, they go down at times, they go up, but overall, the trend is your friend. In the last 120 years of the markets, they typically only go one way, or it all breaks down. So, if you might have a couple weeks or months of down, I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're thinking for months or years, et cetera, et cetera. All right, Surfer, good morning, Coach, and everyone. Back at you. Hopefully a good start to your day, Surfer. David, first off, everyone hit the like and sub button. Thank you for that. Second, Colby Manu will get some run this year. Calling it now. All right, I'm going to hold you to that. Silver, who is JPR, James Pierce Jr., I think is what it should be, but out there. All right, Drake, I think Strickland will be the biggest mover up on the depth chart. I like him too, Drake. Last year, I know we had Brandon Joseph, and I like Brandon Joseph. Unfortunately, for a multitude of reasons, he's no longer here. We think we all get that. But to your point, Strickland, I hate comparing people to other people. I do compare Strickland in a lot of ways. The way he plays is a lot like Brian Branch. And no, that doesn't mean he's Brian Branch or a different version of Brian Branch, whatever. I just think he's pretty dang good. I think he's got upside, but he needs more reps. And the only way you can get that is to get on the field and get him. So probably training camp is going to be his friend. Jason, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew, and the Coach of Destiny. Good to see you, Jason. I'm surprised you're not out skiing or something. But, hey, glad to hope you're here and guarding the Tree of Destiny. Stephanie, James Pierce Jr., Silver Server. There you go. Server, Colby, I don't see it. Manu was mentioned by Campbell. That means they know something we don't. That being Giovanni Manu is progressing. He has become friend with Sewell. Believe they are working together. Hey, that'd be a good person to team up with and kind of learn and understudy with. So not a bad move there by the Lions or by Manu. Silver Server, thank you, Stephanie. There you go. Five fingers, Franny. You broke, Coach? No, not broke. How was the trip? And glad you and the wife got away for a few days. Yeah, so those who don't know, I'm not much of a gambler. Went out there with some friends of ours. They do enjoy the casinos, I think was a good way to put it. I think at the end of the day, Jen and I lost. She doesn't gamble at all, so she just kind of sits and watches me. I think we lost $30. But we got a gajillion free drinks out of it, so I guess you could argue you actually made money on it. I just played blackjack, and I think at one point we're down like 100, then we got down 10, and then I bought us a few beverages, so I think about $30 overall. All right, Man Bear, welcome back, brother! Exclamation point. Trust you and the family had a wonderful week. It was, man. It was. I really liked there's some show I don't watch, Jen does, called Ghost Hunters or something like that, and the guy who runs the show has an artifacts store, shop, whatever you want to call it, house out there. We did enjoy that, or go out there, and that's kind of my wheelhouse. I like, History Channel type stuff, and I just enjoyed a lot of the stuff there. I mean, there's everything you could want out in Las Vegas. It does. I will say this: it's been about 10 years since the last time I've been out there, and it has become much more of a family destination than it was anytime I've ever been there before. I mean, there were kids all over the place. There was one thing we did out there. I want to call it almost like a roller coaster ride, but you're like in a like an IMAX screen. I mean, it's just this massive screen. You even get splashed with water. They have different smells when you fly over different things, but it's like being on a magic carpet going through. We went through Iceland and then the old Wild West, and it just takes you over things. That was pretty cool too. All right, so small. Martin is a bust until he can prove he will do anything. MCDC said Rake should make a move this year. Yeah, I seen this stuff about Rakestraw. Martin, I get it. We should all have at least a raised eyebrow regarding him until we actually see it on the field. I think he's going to be making a move this year. But with that being said, I also want to preface it. It's because I want to think positive about a player. I want to believe that the coaching staff can take someone who's that athletic and coach him on up, teach him how to play. But at the end of the day, to your point, so Smo, he's got to go out there and produce something on the field this year. This would be a big year for him. Silver Server, Coach, about Norman Lott, pass rushing defensive tackle volunteers. Me and you had the same, very same thought. Draft him and play him big edge since he was explosive at 295 pounds and built like a brick. Yeah, there's him and a few other guys on the list. I think that would fit at least what the Lions have done in the past few years with Aaron Glenn as far as the big end position. He does have a lot of fluidity. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions go after him or somebody similar to him in the draft. We'll have to see, though. If they don't, to me, that's an indication maybe Shepard has some different ideas what they're going to do with the defense. All right, Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Move him on up, exclamation point. Woo! And good to see you, my friend. Hopefully it's doing well. Also, real quick, before we get anything further, I know I was gone. We had a big storm. I know parts of where I live here in Kalamazoo got flooded. I also know the Mackinac Bridge got shut down for a day or two or something like that. So before we left, there was a big ice storm that went on in the northern Michigan. Hey, if you're out there, I know some parts still don't have power back, so sending thoughts and prayers to everybody. Voltron Force, I agree. Silver, the team is far more forward-thinking with its picks than the fan base. Too many of us want players to be stars right away. We just don't give them time to find their way in the NFL. It's true, but the other part of it is when you're drafted, most of us are just fans. We want to see returns on that investment quickly. So, hey, sometimes we have a shorter leash. Sir, not a fan of all the number changes. Let's hope they feel more comfortable with the new ones. I like the idea of Gibbs with 0. Yeah, and I know Hutch Jr., my brother Tim, a bunch of people sent me stuff in regards to number changes. To me, I just don't pay much attention to that stuff because I could be wrong. I just don't think it has an impact on the game. It's more personal preference, and I'm sure there were a couple people that got into bidding wars for different numbers, but I know some of you guys really like that stuff, so I couldn't tell you who changed to what number. I didn't watch it much. Plus, I was on vacation when it happened. All right, Trim Reaper, welcome back, Coach. Woo! And good to see you, my friend. Phil, good morning. Always a pleasure to see you, Phil. Glad you're up and at 'em. Quentin, green sanitations, do cruise, man. Coach D, I would sleep in while you were gone. Welcome back, Coach. Hey, glad that you're back on the show, and maybe you'll get a little rest after the show. Hey, thank you, Quentin. Hookadoo, top of the morning, all back at you. Phil, how do you do it, Coach? Almost a week without a post. You have withdrawals. You're spot on with it, Phil. You do get used to doing something. The first day, hey, you got a break, whatever. It's like the last day of school. At least for me, day 2, I was chopping to be back with you guys. Non-lavers, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. Back at you. Good to see you. Hopefully a great start to your morning. Trim River, hit all the buttons. Yeah, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all of them. It helps the channel grow. JDC, Puff, Woo! Coffee, and Lions Talk Live. Who doesn't love the woo-woo coffee? Phil, the ice storms have devastated northern Michigan. Truly a disaster of epic proportion. Yeah, and Phil, to your point, I did not really see or until we were away, there was a couple times where we had a few moments sit and look at social media. I didn't realize how big some of the ice storm was as far as some of the stuff falling from the sky. Yeah, that was wow. Hopefully most of you, if not all of you, have your power back and getting back to life pretty quick here. Trey, I missed this. We missed you. Trina and Conway and Christina Conway, we just want to say good morning to everyone on this Saturday. Welcome back from your spring break. You do a great job of keeping us updated. Detroit Lions from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Woo! Who doesn't love the city of Kalamazoo? And good morning to you both. So hopefully a great start to your day. Jim, why the number changes? I guess just player interest. That's the only thing I can think of. Some players just wanted maybe numbers they had in high school or college, stuff like that. Phil, good morning, Conway family, 100%. Giovanni Lions, Sheila, woo! You want a Sheila woo? I'll give you a Sheila woo. How about a 1, 2, and 3? And will you go? High flying fishing, yo, and back at you, high flying. Phil, gaining weight, Dan? I don't think so. I'm trying to lose weight, but I will tell you this: the nice thing about being out there is, I think we were figuring out on average we were walking like 10 to 12 miles a day. Just going from place to place, seeing different things. So got a pretty good workout in every day, just walking around. Angie, morning, Dan! Exclamation point! You deserve some time off, but sure missed the show. And missed you guys too. So go Lions! Woo! Back at you. The peptides to in regards to weight gain, yes. My bone density has gone up as far as my bones actually getting bigger. But the other part is too, it does help you put on a lot of muscle and mass, and it does it pretty quickly. So I'm sure I've gained some weight because of that. But I think overall, man, since really my freshman year in college, I want to say I've been about 168 to 172 for 30 years. So I think I'm 173 or 4 now. So it's added a couple pounds of bone and muscle to me. Let's see, Giovanni, I think we're going to trade up and have 2 first-round picks. What do you think? I could see that happening. You know, the first, I want to say when I did my mock draft 2 or whatever on the show, I did move up to something like 15 or whatever. And yes, I did take Pierce Jr. And then I want to say we made a move up, but we were still in round 2, but it was like one of the first picks of round 2. So not far off what you're saying. And I don't remember who we took there. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Hope you had a great vacation, man. It was, man. It was, but sure glad to be back. Phil, that burger you posted looked really good. That was the first day we were there, Phil, and man, I had no idea what I was getting. It was, I forget the name of the chef, but I know I think it's Ramsey or something like that. Yeah, it was like reddish as far as the bun, and yeah, it was spicy. I liked it. They're like, "You sure you want a spicy burger?" I was like, "Yeah, go ahead and get it to me." And it was spicy. It wasn't that spicy though. At least I didn't think. Rick the Mitt, good morning, Dan. Welcome back. Back at you. Drayton, can't hear you. Sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know. Phil, sounds good here. Trim Reaper, the dog can't operate an MRI machine, but cats can. Hey, I see what you did there. Medical humor. There you go. Derek, MCDC is the brains here. Johnson was the clown behind the curtain and received praise and credit for things he didn't deserve. We can all see that now. Yeah, could be a lot true there. Phil, MRI operators have magnetic personalities. Boy, this is gonna be a good one this morning. Richard, I'll be listening to see how the running backs will be used. Lots of talent with that position. Will they draft a running back in the 3rd or 4th round? Have a great weekend, guys and gals. Of course, Richard, I could see us taking one. I just don't think we're going to do it round 1 or 2. To your point, and I want to throw this out there, I think there's a lot of depth at the running back position this year, a lot of the defensive line position this year. And I think there's a lot of people, if you start getting around 3 or down at the wide receiver spot, there's some guys that are real developmental players. So I think all those could be areas of interest for Lions deeper in the draft. Frank Dink, we have a feeling Detroit Lions are going to go cornerback or wide receiver in the first pick of the goal Lions. All right, could be. The Trim Reaper, a Peter Tingle like Spider-Man gets, could be. Yeah, they have a little instinct there. Phil, Lions might go offensive line. I do think we're going to at some point. Will it be round 1 or 2? We'll have to wait and see. Rick in the midst. Agreed, Phil. Decker, perhaps. Phil, there's no loyalty to schools anymore. Teams are developing players. They are buying them. They are. So, hey, if you're talking about the college ranks and stuff like that, like most of you guys know, I coach high school right now, and it was a little bit of a change from like the last time I coached high school, not, college or professionally. Last time I coached high school would have been like 2017 or right around there. And then I went back to the professional levels. So in that time, and it's really not that long, like 8 years, you have the NIL. And I had a kid or a couple kids that were seniors this year in high school, and just, things had changed to where I had to ask some questions. What's the norm now at the college level? A lot of the D1s all told me stuff. Hey, we like your kid, but we can't go out and get her because if we bring her in and develop her, we know that by year 2, somebody bigger than us is paying her a contract more or less. I'm paraphrasing here, to come and get her, and that's why we just don't do it anymore. So the college game has definitely changed a bit. All right, Jim Reaper, I'm still stuck with this Yeti coach. There you go. Enjoy. I do need to do an episode maybe going hunting for the Yetis. Paul, we missed you. Dan, I missed you guys too. JDC, Dre Forge rocks. He still rolls. Trim Reaper, I think Lopez goes off this year. I do think he's going to be pretty dang good and a nice addition to the team. Don, Frank, I'm glad that is just a feeling. Let's hope so, just a feeling. James, do you think Simon Vaki could be the primary return of the season? I think, yeah. For kickoffs, he's probably 1 or 2 people out there. As far as punt returns, I wouldn't be surprised, James, if he is the guy. Derek, Rob Deere is a but the one thing he did when he hit it, and he didn't hit at a high rate when he did, it was usually out of the park. DM5 TV, Bart Martin is going to break out. Wishful thinking. I like to be wishing. I just got back from Vegas, right? So wishing on good things. Ed, Mr. Ed, good morning. Dan and Duke Crew, glad you're back, ready for this draft run, 100%. The nice thing about the Lions this year is I really think the draft could go in so many different directions for us, and I wouldn't be upset with any of it. And I get when draft day comes, we're gonna make some move or pick somebody, and somebody's gonna have issues with it. But I'm really enjoying our setup and situation leading into the draft. Keith, good morning and greetings, salutations. Dan and the Duke Crew, exclamation point. Welcome back and go Lions. Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully it's a phenomenal day. Mr. Ed, I believe they can re-sign All right. Resign Smith. If they can resign Smith, I believe Brad will stay at 28. If they don't resign him, Brad will move up. What do you think? Could be. And I know while I was gone, there was some rumors that came out that the Lions and Smith have had some negotiations. It could be true. And maybe they do get him. And I think most people watching the show would be very okay with Zadarius Smith returning to Detroit. Vincent E., yes, went without power 4 days still. 25,000 people without power up here. Yeah, and hopefully every day that gets to a smaller and smaller number out there. Burns, Brad is min-maxing. It may not be sexy, but it's the best way to do it. Yeah, I agree. I like everything Brad is doing so far. JK, watch Brad draft almost every player that's due for extensions next year. There could be a whole lot of truth to that, JK, trying to find replacements now. John, Barkman was a waste of 3 mid-round draft picks and 3-year roster spot. Let's not polish this guy. I'm just trying to be positive, Pete, whatever you want to say, John. I'm hoping the kid moves on up because obviously that'd be best for us. But right now, you would have to agree to your point. The trend is not his friend. It's not looking good. I'm just trying to be hopeful. JK, and good morning, Dan. Back at you. Trina, sounds great now. Hey, glad it got fixed. I'm not sure what we did. DM5, overall, I feel good about this team. Draft an edge, defensive tackle, and a speedy wide receiver. Plus, come camp, we will get a few vets. Lions 12-5. I would take that in a heartbeat, 100%. John, when did most fans not want some huge free agent move? Question mark. Barkman has put together a solid, or Brad Holmes has put together a solid team in record time. Brad Holmes has done a great job, and I think most of the Lions fan base would agree with that. He's turned this franchise around or helped turn it around pretty quick. JK, Jared Goff should get a pay cut of $10 million. Let's see if he'll do that for the team. If not next year, then not this year, I should say, maybe next year. Trim Reaper, have a great day, coach and crew. Woo! Back at you, Brent. Good morning, Dan and crew. Ron Wood is delusional, saying he didn't hear any complaints about the ticket prices. Out of touch with the fan base. Shake my head. Yeah, and I know I was away, Brent. That did come up about Rod Wood. The only thing I could say is the team's not going to listen to us, even if we do say something. If we don't like the prices, the hard part is there are people who are going to pay the prices. When that stops, when people are no longer willing to pay that price, the ticket prices will come down. It's no different than auto prices, home prices, Mountain Dew prices, or anything. If you stop selling a product, the price goes one way, down. Timon Lokes, great video of Hutch sprinting in the circulating. Yeah, I thought about getting it up today. I ran out of time getting it ready for the show. I know my brother Tim, Hutch Jr., and a bunch of you guys sent it over to me. But what I can say in the video is you can find it online real easy. The other part is you can see him kind of waggling more and more in his routes. You can see, in my opinion, I think he's going to be 100% or pretty dang close by the time training camp is here. All right, Keith, draft all defense. They just might. JK, next year. Yes, next year. Laughing out loud. Could be. John, good morning. And back at you, John. Feel like we already talked this morning. But hey, good morning all the way. All right, guys, I am back. So I'm going to get back to working on that stuff. Going to end the show here. If there is some sort of breaking news today, I'll be able to get it on over to you. I am back after all. Otherwise, be good to each other. Be a good human being. Do something kind for someone you don't know. And we'll see you all tomorrow on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donations to Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus?
Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism?
Of Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology?
Or nuclear power?